बात की थी, आज आगे बढ़ते हैं. So there are also evidences based on the physiology and the biochemistry and also the genetics. ठीक है. So this different organisms show similarity based on their physiology and biochemistry and of course genetics also. ठीक है. But earlier physiology और biochemistry को compare किया गया था. DNA या बात करें genetic material की तो ये काफी बाद में सब चीजें आई है सामने, है ना. So the first thing is that protoplasm. So there are chemical compositions which are similar structurally present in the protoplasm of most of the organisms. ठीक है. अगर आप हम देखें कि सपोज ग्लाइकोलाइसिस अगर होता है किसी ऑर्गेनिज्म में, तो ग्लाइकोलाइसिस को करने वाले एंजाइम का स्ट्रक्चर मोर और लेस सिमिलर ही होगा ऑलमोस्ट सारे ऑर्गेनिजम्स में. ठीक है. Likewise, there are enzymes which are also sharing same structure and function
7 बजे
in
हैं.
different organisms. Okay, like trypsin, which helps in digestion of protein in amoeba as well as humans, and amylase helps in digestion of starch in very different organisms. And then, if blood is present, because blood is not present in all the organisms, all the chordates, okay, are having a similar composition of their blood. Then we know ATP. ATP is energy currency, and this energy currency is present in all the organisms. जितने भी organism है उनमें सब में ATP ही energy currency है. ठीक है. And then there are different hormones. If the organisms are present secreting the hormones are playing similar function. Okay, vertebrates में basically अगर हम देखें, they are the same hormone which is present in us is also if present in any other organism is doing the same function. Okay, and then hereditary material, of course. So DNA or RNA, okay, it is having same basic structure but sequence is different होती है, and because of this, or there are variations because of this, we see different characteristics which are present in different organisms. Then in this way the physiology and biochemistry also provides the evidence that animals have evolved from same common ancestor or with same uh, fundamental functions. ठीक है. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि if you know the basic principle of some process like digestion, okay, so its basic principles will remain same throughout the animal kingdom, suppose, because digestion is process which is found in animals. ठीक है. So and likewise, like if we are talking about photosynthesis, okay, whether it is done using chlorophyll or whether it is done using some any other pigment, the basic principle will remain same. Okay, so this also says that all the organisms are sharing some or other common characteristics, and that's why it provides evidence that we all have evolved through the same process, okay, and from the same common ancestors. चले आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then there are evidences based on embryology. So embryology is basically comparative study of embryos of different animals. Like you can see here that this is the embryo of fish, okay, first one, and the second one is the embryo of frog, okay, and likewise we have different embryos here, like this is of bird, this is of turtle, and this is of human. So you can see in the first stage they all look similar. Okay, if I will give you all these 6 embryo, you will not be able to differentiate that which one is of which organism, but later on as it develops, different characteristics appear. So at the embryonic stage we start our life, and at this stage also we are uh, sharing all the features which are very similar in between the any two pair of embryos. So this also says that we have evolved from same common ancestors. Okay, so there is a Beer's law. Okay, So an organism show its ancestral stage in embryonic development. ये देखो यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि ancestral stages show करते हैं when they are going through their embryonic development. In embryo stage, general characters appear first, and then specialized characters appear later on. So general characters which are common in all different organisms. Okay, like development of eye or development of tail. Okay, so these are common features which general features which appear first, and then later on, depending on that species, this special characters appear. Okay, so embryology also supports that we have evolved through common ancestor, and we have evolved. We are not just like that. Okay, then we have talked about different evidences of evolution. Now we are talking about anthropogenic evolution. So anthropogenic evolution is evolution due to human intervention, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Okay, whether we know that we are uh, causing some intervention, because of that evolution is occurring in some other species. Like I earlier also I said, the use of antibiotics, because of use of antibiotics, bacteria which are causing disease, they are evolving. Or any other pathogen which is causing disease, it can be protozoan or fungus, they are evolving continuously. In the same way, viruses are also evolving continuously. Okay, so whether we know it or no, don't. Okay, the microorganisms are evolving. In the same way, uh, knowingly means we have done selective breeding of many plants and animals. That is knowingly. We know that we are causing, we are developing some new species or a new breed. Okay, not particularly species. We are developing some new breed. Okay, so this is knowingly we are doing that. We are doing some selective breeding to develop plants and animals with better characteristics, better quality. Okay, and we have done this thing unknowingly also. And one of the very best observation is the presence of white winged moth and the dark winged moth. Okay, so you know what is this? What is all this picture saying, Babina?
How can better survive in that environment?
ये तो इस पिक्चर में कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है ऐसा. इस पिक्चर में जो दिख रहा है वो बताओ. इस पिक्चर में क्या दिख रहा
The color of the background and that much.
है? Okay, this picture is also not very much clear, although, but what you see in this picture is, in the first picture there is a different background, and in the second picture there is a different background. The organisms, or these two moth with different characteristics, remain same. The background is changing. Okay, and the background is changing. That means the environment is changing. Okay, whatever the environment they are living in, it is changing. Okay, so it is before industrialization. This one is before. Okay, and this one is after industrialization. So how industrialization affected this thing? How industrialization affected?
So causing lot of smoke.
Causing a lot of smoke, and which smoke and soot which deposited on the bark of trees, and because of that the background changed. Background means here the color changed, and this simple change has caused the this black moth, or melanic moth, to get selected by this background. Okay, they were not able to, the birds were not able to see them, or whatever the predator of these moth were, they were not able to see them, but they were able to see the white, or white winged moth. Okay, which is not melanic. So And in before that, the white-winged moth were selected by nature, and dark-winged moth were uh, chosen by the predator. Okay, because they were able to see them and they were not able to see the white-winged moth. But later on, when the background changed, white-winged moth became visible, so predators start eating them. So before that, the before industrialization, the number of white-winged moth was very high, while the number of dark dark-winged moth was very low. But after industrialization, the number of this dark-winged moth increased and its number decreased. Okay, मैंने दोनों में एरो ऊपर लगाया, इसका मतलब ये कि है वो, they are present. It is not like that their population uh, has completely wiped off. Okay, they are present even in very small number. They will be present. Okay, so they are also here. They are also present in very small number. So you can see that as the environment changes, any one character becomes helpful in surviving them, and that's why variation is required in a population. ठीक है, हम बात करते हैं ना कि sexual reproduction gives variation and all that, brings variation, this that thing. So why variation is required? If someday, okay, suddenly the environment will change, then what will happen? Those individuals which are having characteristics, okay, which may look useless today, okay, but if the environment changes, and those characteristics will help them to survive in that environment. So that's why variations are needed, whether they today maybe they look useless, or maybe they are not having any particular function in adaptation, but still we need variations. तो अगर मान ले कि यहाँ पर ब्लैक विंग्ड मौत होते ही नहीं सपोज, ठीक है, फिर एनवायरनमेंट चेंज होता, केवल व्हाइट विंग्ड मौत होते, फिर व्हाइट विंग्ड मौत भी धीरे धीरे उनको खा जाते प्रेडेटर्स. तो it may lead to extinction. I am not saying that it will. It may lead to extinction of that species if there are no variations. Now there are variations, so this moth, species of this moth survived. Okay, maybe with different characteristics. Got it? So this is simply one example of natural selection because of human intervention. Okay, there are other examples which I have already discussed about antibiotic resistant bacteria, basically TB causing bacteria, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, so this is because of anthropogenic evolution, and we have discussed this thing. Yes. Now we will talk about adaptive radiation. Okay, adaptive radiation is basically observed by Darwin, and he observed in the finches, that is birds at Galapagos Island, that this is the process of evolution of different species in a particular geographical area, starting from one point. Okay, जैसे ये इस वाले एग्जांपल में आप देखें, there is a founder species, okay, this bird, and this from this bird we have got many different other species. Okay, like we have the bird which are predator of insects, which are collecting nectar, and there are different functions caused by these uh, birds based on their beak. Okay, the structure or the shape of their beak. Okay, so basically what happened in all this is the this shape of beak changed. Okay, depending on the whatever the environment they were and how they got selected. I'm not saying the requirement, okay, because this is not correct in terms of evolution, although uh, that is true in some sense, that based on requirement we get selected, but if we get selected, then only we can survive. If we don't get selected, one species cannot survive. Okay, so from one species different species arises, okay, from one common ancestor in the same geographical region. Okay, in the same geographical region. Okay, from that, when they go into different area, they find different environment and then they evolve. Okay, basically what happened, if we see the earth, whole earth as one geographical place, okay, so all other organisms which have arisen are going through adaptive radiation. Like for example, humans, they have evolved in Africa, and from there they have radiated through Asia, Europe, and then the America. Okay, so they found different environment. In Africa, it's warm. Okay, near the equator, it is very warm. Okay, and when they started moving towards the northern hemisphere, they found lower temperatures, and then they also gone through ice ages. Okay, so when earlier there was high temperature and then low temperature and different kind of environment, so those who were able to survive in that environment, okay, they got selected, and those who didn't, they didn't got selected. Okay, so this is the way the radiation or adaptive radiation works. Okay, and other example is marsupial radiation in Australia, because it is isolated land, and here you can see that the organisms have all these organisms are marsupial organisms, and they have evolved through from same ancestors. Okay, so this is the example of two examples of adaptive radiation and how it works. Okay, until now we were talking about the evidences of evolution and different type like anthropogenic and adaptive radiation. Now we will talk about biological evolution in terms of the theories. So first theory is Lamarckism. Then we will talk about the theory of given by Darwin and mutation theory and synthetic theory. ठीक है, तो पहले बात करते हैं लेमार्किज्म के बारे में. लेमार्किज्म क्या कहता है कि इट इज ऑल्सो नोन एज थ्योरी ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस ऑफ एक्वायर्ड कैरेक्टर्स. इनहेरिटेंस ऑफ एक्वायर्ड कैरेक्टर मतलब, although this theory is more or less correct, but the way Lamarck uh, put forward this theory was not correct. Okay, so he should have uh, put forwarded it in a better way. Okay. Other thing is that he was very straightforward in whatever he observed, and he just made it a theory that inheritance of acquired character means those characters which got acquired, which we are not uh, inherited. Means there are two types of characters which we have. One is inherited and one which we acquire during our lifetime, and those acquired characters get inherited in next generation. Okay, this seems very simple, but it is not like that. You know why? Any character which is acquired in one lifetime, how it will get inherited? Tell me. This is a question.
through DNA.
That is correct. That is through DNA, but how?
तो, तो वो पेरेंट्स से कोड होके आते हैं क्रोमोसोम में.
Sorry, what?
तो वो पेरेंट्स से क्रोमोसोम में कोड होके आते हैं.
ठीक है, क्रोमोसोम के थ्रू आते हैं, पेरेंट्स के थ्रू आते हैं, बट there are special cells. One is called as sperm, the other is called as egg. Got it? And there is a process of formation of sperm and egg from their precursor cells. Okay, there is a process of spermatogenesis, there is a process of oogenesis. Okay, so if a particular character is present in any organism, if that characteristic is somatic, it is not present in their uh, cells, germ cells. Okay, it will not get passed. So that's where Lamarck failed, because Lamarck simply said that any character which is acquired will get passed, but this does not happen until and unless that characteristic, the genetic information of that characteristic comes in the cells of germline, whether it is, if it is a female, in the egg, and if it is a male, in the sperm. गॉट इट, इसलिए क्वेश्चन पूछा था। यहाँ पे लेमार्किज्म यहाँ पे फेल होता है। चले आगे बढ़ते हैं। लेमार्किज्म said that there are internal vital forces which are present in all the organism, due to which the organism have the tendency to increase the size of their organs or entire body। ओके ये थोड़ा सा इमेजिनरी हो गया कि जैसे सोच लिया और साइज जो है बड़ा छोटा हो जाएगा। सो दिस does not work in this way, okay, because here Lamarck only focused on the organisms, not their environment. If environment selects one particular type of character, then that characters will appear, that the individuals with that character, their frequency will increase in the population, okay. But Lamarck just focused on the organism, that organisms have some vital forces and they have the tendency to increase or decrease, whatever, I don't know. So increase the size of their organs or entire body, decrease वाला ऐसा कोई फंडा नहीं है। Then the effect of environment and new needs. So here he put point of environment. Now see, environment को अलग कर दिया, individual को अलग कर दिया, ऐसा नहीं होगा, दोनों को एक साथ हमें करना पड़ेगा। So environment influences all the type of organism. Changing environment give rise to new needs. See, he used the word needs. Then new needs or desires produce new structures and change the habits of the organism. It is not like that. ऐसा नहीं है कि suppose someone jumps into the water and he or she says that I should grow the, क्या चाहिए पानी में रहने के लिए? If you want to live inside the water, what do you need? Gills, because you want to breathe. So मैं पानी में कूद जाऊं और कह दूं मुझे गिल्स चाहिए, so it will not happen like this, okay. So this is very vague statement given by Lamarck, okay. There's needs and desires, so this is not like that. And then use and disuse of organs. If an organ is constantly used, it would be better developed, whereas disuse of an organ results in degeneration. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ठीक है। We have suppose two hands, one most of the people are using their right hand, some are using left hand, but ऐसा नहीं कि एक को यूज करते हैं दूसरा जो है उसका साइज छोटा बड़ा हो जाता है, ठीक है, या जिसको यूज करते रहते हैं उसका साइज बड़ा हो जाता है, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। साइज या जो भी फंक्शन है दोनों हाथों के सेम ही रहते हैं। यस, द बिहेवियर इज डिफरेंट, दैट इज ट्रू, बट एट द फिजियोलॉजिकल लेवल और एट द मॉर्फोलॉजिकल लेवल दे रिमेन सेम। Then inheritance of acquired character. During the lifetime of an organism, new characters developed due to internal vital forces and effect of need or use and disuse, and these characters get inherited in the next generation, which is partially true, not always, ठीक है। अगर वो जर्म लाइन में चला जाएगा करेक्टर, जेनेटिक होगा और जर्म लाइन में चला जाएगा तो पास होगा, नहीं तो नहीं होगा, ठीक है। सो there are some examples of which support the theory of Lamarck, that long neck and high forelimb of giraffe. So we know that what he said, that earlier giraffe have developed from species which were not that much tall, and because there were trees, they used to have uh, get the leaves from tall trees, so they stretch their uh, neck, and because of that their forelimb and neck increased in the uh, size, okay। use and disuse वाली thing हो गई यहाँ पे। Then aquatic birds stretch their toes and develop web. So duck is one of the example, they have webbed toes. Snakes lost their legs because they don't need legs, because of the legs they walk slow, okay. and deers became good runners by the development of strong limbs because the other organism like cheetah or lion, they are chasing them. And retractile claws of carnivorous animals. Okay, so whenever a carnivorous animal is attacking, they can take out their claws, and when they are walking or they are running, they can put their claws back in their paw. Okay, so these are some examples, and there are many which we can use to support the theory of Lamarckism, theory of Lamarck. But there are this theory is also criticized by two people, Wisman and Payne. So Wisman did one experiment. He cut off the tail of rats for about 20 generations, but there was no reduction in the size of tail. So on the basis of this experiment, Weizmann proposed the theory of continuity of germplasm. Actually, he was working on the developmental aspect of any organism, but here he proved that whatever Lamarck just said is not the correct way. Okay, so theory of continuity of germplasm says that whatever the germplasm, whatever the information which is present in germline cells will remain intact whether you cut the tail or not. Okay, so this is okay, but there is a flaw in this experiment. Now you tell me, what is that flaw? This experiment has a flaw. What is this flaw? Tell me.
Sure, because even if we cut the tails, that gene will be inherited.
Because okay, so we don't know if Weissman didn't know anything about this gene thing or like that, because you have to think in the terms of whatever Lamarck said and whatever Weissman did, not in terms of genes or chromosome or such things. We know all these things today, but these were not known at that time. So think in terms of whatever Lamarck said and whatever Weissman did. Okay, so मैं बताता हूँ. Lamarck said that there is effect of environment and new needs. Okay, and then there are internal vital forces. Okay, and Wisman just simply took the rats and he cut the uh, tail for 20 generations. Still, the rat were growing tail. So, how Wisman should have performed this experiment? Here we are talking about tail. So what is the use of tail? Whether the rat requires tail or not. Whether the rat is requiring the tail or not. We are not talking about whether the gene is present or not. Okay, that is different story, because there is not only one gene. There are many genes which are involved. So genes को छोड़ दो. Just whether the rat is requiring the tail or not. चूहे से तो पूछो उसको पूछ चाहिए कि नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है, वो तो बता नहीं पाएगा. So we have to think that what is the use of tail in those organisms which are having tail. What is the use of tail?
So for their body balance.
For the balance. Okay, because rats and mouse, these organisms uh, go through various places. Okay, they go up, they go down, they go through holes. So they need tail to balance themselves. If we finish this need to balance themselves, we put them on the ground only, and they get all their food, whatever they need to survive, food, water, on the ground, and they don't have to go up and down and go through various places where they need to balance themselves. Maybe, I'm not saying it will happen, maybe there will be reduction in the size of tail, because they don't need it anymore. Why the body will put energy in developing that organ. Okay, but all this thing is hypothetical. Okay, although later on also people have came to this conclusion that this experiment is not correct. Okay, this experiment says that yes, there is a theory of continuity of germ plasm that is correct. That from one generation to next generation, germ plasm goes, and that information along with the genes, as we know today, goes. Okay, but this experiment which says that Lamarckism is not correct, this is not correct experiment. Okay, so that is simple thing, that selection, those which are having small tail will get selected because they are not expending more energy on developing the tail. They will develop their energy on developing some other organ which is required more in that environment. ठीक है, so this is Lamarckism.